Continuing from the previous episode 1155. Exchanging things for things? Xiao Yan couldn't help frowning when he heard this. Although the 20 million gold coins obtained from the elixir auction just now have been squandered by buying a fairy elixir, Xiao Yan still has a lot of elixir. Exchanging things for things will undoubtedly make Xiao Yan a little bit painful. After all, the treasures on his body are quite rare. At best, there is only the prototype pill at the 4th rank of the Immortal rank, but this is Xiao Yan's bargaining chip to compete for the finale, and obviously he will not take it out for this seal fighting skill. It's really unlucky. If I get this seal fighting skill, I am afraid that I can rely on the power of my holy flame and add some fighting spirit. Although it is not enough to support me in the battle, I am afraid that it is an invincible existence among the same star. Xiao Yan's complexion changed uncertainly, he calculated. Hee, brother Xiao Yan, don't worry. This seal fighting skill is very valuable. I'm afraid some rich and powerful guys will definitely pay attention to him, so let's just wait and see what happens. Qing Wen said with a smile. Xiao Yan also simply sat on the chair, but his eyes were on the auction table. He had to figure out whose hands this seal fighting skill fell into. However, Xiao Yan was a little surprised. Obviously, the Qing family's patriarch, the Lei family, and the Yu family did not waste time. Although this seal fighting skill is precious, it has no intention of auctioning it, and King Ming is also sitting quietly on the chair. Xiao Yan couldn't help but have high expectations for the finale. After all, the things that can be remembered by the 2-star Dushan perfectionists are probably not ordinary things. 6 pills of the Emperor's 3rd grade heaven rank peak. The next moment, in the 10th private room, a handsome man with extraordinary bearing spoke directly, and his voice was full of urgency. This person is impressively the young head of the Hammer Mercenary Group in the Ghost King City. The overall strength of the Hammer Mercenary Group is not strong, and its leader is only a strong person in the early stage of 2-star Do Xian, so it is naturally not comparable to the 3 masters of Ghost King City, but when this guy opened his mouth, it still caused a burst of sigh. 6 pills that are at the peak of the Emperor's 3rd rank heaven rank? This is the top level under the Immortal rank. This Hammer Mercenary Group is really rich and powerful. But even though this guy made a big bid, I'm afraid the value of this seal fighting skill is not enough. There was some noise in many quiet private rooms, obviously planning to watch a play. Because they all know that the ranks of the alchemist are divided into the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades of the Emperor, and each rank is divided into 3 levels of heaven, earth, and profound. Elixir, a volume of low-level holy rank exercises. In the private room number 15, a white-haired old man slowly bid. Hee, a roll of low-level holy rank exercises is probably not worth the 3 pills. And Li Qin on the auction table also gave an instant evaluation. Hey, little baby, I haven't finished speaking yet. Don't think that this kung fu is just a low-level saint, but this kung fu is quite peculiar. The old man in the number 15 private room said with a smile. Oh, what's the difference between this exercise? After Feng Feng heard the words, he also laughed with interest. This exercise is called the Ice Palace, which enables practitioners of the ice attribute to use the effect of the exercise to achieve the same effect as the sealing tiding technique. Cultivating and condensing the Ice Palace will cause considerable damage to the powerhouses of the same attribute. For tyrannical suppression, although suppression cannot achieve the effect of a seal, it is enough to suppress half of its power. Even if the scope of the seal can only be limited to a small level, it is not to question its power. This is also the peculiarity of Kung Fu. The place. And with Dead Wind's voice asking, the old man in the private room number 15 said indifferently. This cultivation technique has such a miraculous effect? Dead Wind couldn't help but be surprised when he heard the words. After the practice and fighting skills reach the holy rank, many strange things will be born on the original basis, and it is obvious that the power of this Ice Palace practice method is quite strange. Rolling exercises. I have a first-order immortal sword. The young man in the private room number 19 heard the words and gritted his teeth. Although he knew that there was little hope, there was still a burst of shouts. Immortal swords, Xiao Yan, who was in the Do Di period, still felt out of reach, but after reaching Do Xian, he realized that there are not only 108 kinds of immortal swords, and 108 kinds of immortal swords are only for Zan Santian. In the Great Thousand World, the immortal sword is divided into 1 to 9 ranks, Each rank corresponds to a rank. For example, the first rank Immortal sword should be the best one for the 1-star fighting Immortal. I made 4 Emperor level 3rd grade Earth level medicinal pills. Some intermittent voices sounded slowly, but it was obvious that these people's bids were not as high as those of the two at the beginning. Everyone, don't be impatient. After we discuss it, we will naturally decide the ownership of this seal fighting skill. Li Qin smiled slowly, and the next moment, the two of them disappeared on the auction table. Not long after, Li Qin and Death Feng returned to the auction stage. From what they looked like, it was obvious that there was a result. Everyone, after our discussion, the final ownership of this seal fighting skill is the private room number 10. Dead Wind laughed. Obviously they chose the medicine pill after weighing. After all, the ice attribute, although the practice method is strange, it can only be practiced by the strong with the ice attribute, which undoubtedly restricts its power. The private room number 10. Xiao Yan gave him a thoughtful look. The guy in the number 10 private room is the young leader of the Hammer Mercenary Group. He has the strength in the middle stage of the 1-star fighting Immortal, and his talent is outstanding. It is said that he has a talent that surpasses his father. Seimei said with a smile. Obviously he sensed Xiao Yan's killing intent. What's the strength of their Hammer Mercenary Group? Xiao Yan asked. In the early stage of the 2-star Do Xian, the head of the group, there are 3 powerhouses in the late stage of the 1-star Do Xian. For you, the other powerhouses are nothing to be afraid of. Seimei smiled. As the head of the family, King Ming's eyes are so vicious. Naturally, he can see Xiao Yan's thoughts at a glance, but he doesn't say much, because he knows that talent is as important as personality. Moreover, I quite like Xiao Yan's character. After all, if a person has tyrannical strength and not enough ruthless temperament, it is difficult to achieve great things. If there is a chance, I will definitely meet this Hammer Mercenary Group. Xiao Yan said with a smile. After all, obtaining this seal fighting skill will greatly increase his strength, so even if he offends a strong 2-star fighting Immortal early stage, it is worthwhile. One try, then silent. Next, I'm afraid there will be some rare things, and it's not far from the finale. Seimei smiled. Since this second item was photographed by the guests in private room number 10, then the third auction item will follow. Li Qin's beautiful and tactful voice reverberated in everyone's heart. Continuing from the previous episode 1156. The next auction is a bit strange, because it is not the original thing in our ghost world. Li Qin stood on the auction table and said slowly. Strange? Some of the powerhouses in the private rooms were also quite puzzled when they heard the words. Although most of the hundreds of private rooms present were just to watch the fun, they were also prominent figures in the Ghost King city with a lot of experience. For the sake of abundance, something that can make them all puzzled is probably enough to be called strange. Come here, lift it up for me. The next moment, Li Qin's sweet voice sounded, and a series of steps appeared in the center of the auction booth, and then 4 burly men emerged from the stairs. The 4 burly men were in a square shape, tightly surrounding the things in the middle of the 4, and each person was carrying a corner of the square auction item on his shoulders, slowly lifting it up from the bottom. This mysterious auction item has a size of several tens of feet, is square, and the surface is tightly protected by a white canvas. Whoa! Bang bang bang! With a few voices, the 4 burly men lightly lifted their hands and placed the behemoth on the ground. Whoosh! Just after letting go, a panting voice emerged. Obviously, even these 4 burly men couldn't bear the weight of this thing. You go down, Li Qin said slightly. Yes, Butler Li. The 4 burly men agreed and fell from the original stairs, and the stairs closed to form the ground after the 4 left. What the asterisk is this? According to the combined force of the 4 burly men just now, the weight of this thing is probably quite heavy. But it seems to be covered by a layer of white canvas. Quote. In the private room, the voices of various guesses sounded slowly. Everyone, I'm not going to give up. However, this matter is of great importance, and I am also allowed to take some protective measures. The city lord, Death Wind, stepped forward and said, Shabu Shabu. At the next moment, Dead Wind directly used all his strengths, and the dazzling silver fighting Immortal power instantly enveloped the entire unknown auction item. With this layer of protection, even a 2-star Do Xian powerhouse can't take it for a while. Everyone, please appreciate this rare treasure in the world today. Taking defensive measures, Deadwind's eyes were filled with extremely terrifying fluctuations, obviously to shock some ill-intentioned plans. After speaking, his fingers moved slightly, and the white canvas covering the auction item disappeared slowly, revealing the original appearance of the auction item. This is. And with the appearance of this auction item, many of the powerhouses present stared blankly. Obviously, almost no one knew about this thing. What appeared in front of everyone was a tens of meters in size, and the outermost edge was protected by an extremely strong iron cage, and in that iron cage, a red crystal-like hill like a mountain suddenly appeared. Emerge. Through perception, everyone found out that there was a trace of blood-red liquid flowing slowly in this red crystal hill, and with every flow of the blood-red liquid, many of the strong hearts present were violent. Jump up. This is blood crystal. Isn't this thing only born in the human world? Some monsters with dragon blood. How can it appear in the ghost world? According to the estimates of the crystals in the iron cage, I am afraid that this blood crystal liquid is all the blood of an adult demon beast. The next moment, in the quiet private room number 1, the mysterious black-robed man couldn't bear it. Zeus stood up directly and was surprised at the auction items lying quietly on the auction table below. This thing seems to have the smell of the dragon family. In the second private room, Yu Gan was also interested in staring at the blood crystal with a strange color below, and couldn't help speaking. Dragon? Hearing this, Feather couldn't help swallowing a saliva with difficulty. Dragon Clan. This is not only the peak race in the human world, but also the strongest race with a fierce reputation in the entire Great Thousand world. This is the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal. Don't be surprised, this blood crystal contains a rather tyrannical blood essence. If you can get this thing, refine the blood crystal, and take out the blood essence, I'm afraid that the blood essence alone is enough to make his body stronger. To a higher level, Li Qin smiled sweetly, and easily increased the value of this auction item. Earth Dragon Blood Crystal? Xiao Yan originally had some vague guesses, but now that Li Qin explained it himself, he couldn't help being surprised. Before my uncle Jin Longweng left, he left a special volume of exercises called Dragon God 9 Transformations for himself. Xiao Yan has been bitterly regretting that he could not find a way to cultivate. And when I was still in Zan Santian, Xiao Yan had a chance to investigate a trace of the 9 transformations of the Dragon God, but found that the 9 transformations of the Dragon God was extremely powerful. It makes Xiao Yan quite a big head. However, Xiao Yan did some tidying up, but found that he had all the materials for the first transformation of the Dragon God's 9 transformations. Dragon blood. In other words, it is the blood of the dragon. The so-called blood essence is the condensed essence of a human body, and the dragon race is no exception. Moreover, Xiao Yan also discovered that the blood essence required for the first transformation of cultivation is quite strict, and it must be the diluted dragon blood essence. Hey, kid. Don't think about it. Although the intensity of physical damage in your body is not weak, it is still too far to compare with the dragon family. And it's not that I look down on you. If you can really use the blood of the orthodox dragon race to make you cultivate this dragon *** transformation, I am afraid that with your current strength, you will be wiped out in an instant. And when Xiao Yan's mind was spinning as fast, Soul Eater the Lord's voice entered Xiao Yan's mind. Senior, what you said. Xiao Yan was a little speechless. This Soul Eater seemed to be playing cards out of line. What's wrong with my words? Don't say it's you. Even at my peak, I wouldn't dare to think about drinking the blood of the orthodox dragon family. Not to mention the Golden Dragon King. The Soul Eater said with some fear. The secret, you will naturally know in the future. But all you need to know now is that in this great world, the real dragon family has never had any branches. They are proud and powerful. In addition to being lonely, they only have a huge dragon family. As for the other earth dragons, flying dragons, and the ancient dragons on your Dochi continent that you told me before, they are all just miscellaneous. Dragon. Compared with the real dragon race, it is nothing short of nothing. Because the dragon god gave birth to 9 sons, and the 9 sons are different. These 9 sons are the real 9 dragon kings in the Great Thousand Worlds. The mighty voice of the Soul Eater caused quite a shock to find him. Although I don't know what kind of cultivation method the 9 transformations of the dragon god is, but the dragon clan has been able to prosper forever, and naturally it has an indispensable cultivation technique. And the level of blood essence contained in this dragon's blood crystal is far from the real dragon, but it is the most suitable thing for you to cultivate the first transformation. So, this dragon blood crystal must be obtained no matter what. At the end of the sentence, the voice of the Master of Soul Eater kept showing a killing intent. Continuing from the previous episode 1157. Everyone, this was formed by a monster whose strength reached 3-star Do Xian during his lifetime. We don't know the cause of his death, but there is no doubt that this blood crystal is extremely well preserved. The blood of the Earth Dragon, and this auction item is the famous Earth Dragon in the human world. Although the Earth Dragon has less than 1/10 of the blood of the dragon race in its body, in the human world, anyone who has a relationship with the dragon race will definitely increase in value. And the blood crystal in front of everyone is the most precious blood essence left after the fall of the Earth Dragon. I'm afraid I don't need to say more about the value of the blood essence of the dragon with the blood of the dragon family, right? Dead Wind slowly opened his mouth, first introduced it in detail, and obviously didn't plan to announce the auction price. The blood crystal of the Earth Dragon? And many of the strong men in the private room couldn't help but muttered as they watched the blood-like liquid in the iron cage slowly flow through the crystal. The Dragon Clan has been the pinnacle of this world since ancient times, and the blood of the dragon is even more difficult to find. You can't just kill a real dragon and drink its blood, otherwise, with the arrogant character of the Dragon Clan, I am afraid that you will be welcomed. Is the revenge of the dark, and not to mention, it is still a question of whether it can be beaten. Although this Earth Dragon is 108,000 miles apart from the real dragon race, it is enough for them. After all, the Earth Dragon has 1/10 of the blood of the real dragon family, and this blood crystal was formed after the Earth Dragon died, and its value is probably comparable to the sky-high price. Because they all know that there is no one last material for the dragon's blood-forgeable body. In the vast world, cultivation is quite noisy, but the one of physical fitness is the most difficult. It cannot be improved with any magical medicine, because every time, you can only break through the limit of your own body by breaking through the limit. This extreme method, the tyranny of those who forge the body, has long been, and it is also rare. And this Earth Dragon blood crystal can be well forged, so it's no wonder that these people are so hot. Is this Dead Wind flooded? So precious things will also be put up for auction? After the introduction of the Dead Wind, many of the powerhouses in the private room were at a loss. They were all human beings, so they knew at a glance that they had a great relationship. If they had these treasures, they would definitely like to hide and use them. Where would they even put them up for auction? Everyone, the dragon blood crystal here is of great importance, and I will not hide it from you. The auctioneer of this dragon blood crystal was asked by a friend of mine to sell it, and it is on its way to our Ghost King City. The auction of dragon blood crystals here will be carried out in the form of gold coins. Dead Wind said with a smile. Sure enough, it doesn't belong to this old guy. Otherwise, he would be reluctant to take out such a precious thing. In the private room number 3, Seimei said with a smile. Seimei understands Death Wind too well. Although Death Wind is a good person, there is a half-starred 3-star Do Xian Yu Gan in Ghost King City. If there is such a treasure of Earth Dragon blood crystal, then Death Wind will definitely have to collect it by himself. Dead City Lord, since you plan to use gold coins to auction, let's start. And many strong people couldn't help but say after hearing the Death Wind saying that they used gold coins to auction. If you can auction such a precious thing just with gold coins, why not do it? Everyone, don't be in a hurry. This friend of mine is a bit special, and the reason why he took out such a precious treasure for auction with gold coins this time is naturally for some personal issues. Dead Wind said cryptically. This guy. Hearing Dao Zifeng's twists and turns, the faces of the people present turned black. I believe you all know that our Ghost King City belongs to the Yinhushan, and this Yinhushan, even in the Lihun territory, is one of the most powerful areas in the ranking, and our Ghost King City is located in the corner of the east continent of the Yinhushan. We in Dongzhou will open the ratio of Dongzhou. If you can win the competition in the eastern continent, countless treasures of heaven and earth will be inexhaustible, and you will be more hopeful to participate in a more powerful event in the Shadow of the Soul, and compete in 4 continents. As for the 4 continents in the south, east, north, and west, I believe you all know better than me, don't you? Dead Wind said with a slow smile. What? As the sound of the wind of death just fell, there was a sudden silence. Many of the powerhouses they were present knew what Death Wind said. Their Ghost King City is a territory under Li Sol territory, and Li Sol territory is vast. There are countless forces like them. Under such noisy forces, the entire region under Li Sol territory will hold regular competitions. In order to select geniuses to replenish Li Hunyu's new blood. Under Li Sol domain, it is divided into many fertile territories. Among these territories, there are strong and weak ones, but among them, Yin Hushan is enough to be regarded as one of the few core places in Li Sol domain. Yin Hushan is a general term, and its coverage is extremely broad. Even the Dou Emperor's Sifang continent cannot compare with it, and Yin Hushan has sent many talented people to Li Hunyu for countless years. As for the way this powerhouse is produced, it is the four continents competition. Before the four continents compete, they must stand out from their respective four continents, so as to qualify for the four continents competition. And once you are qualified to participate in the four continents competition, even if you don't win in the end, in the process of the competition, you may be recruited as a disciple by the real powers in Li Sol territory, or the winner can go directly to Li Sol territory headquarters / link to www.novelmtl.com / get the unspeakable benefits, so you can jump into the Dragon Gate. Xiao Yan, you must win the East Continent ratio. And the ratio of the four continents must also be in the top 3. Only in this way can you get in touch with the real high-level people in Li Sol domain. At that time, I'm afraid that Acacia heartbroken inflammation will end. And the next moment, the voice of the Lord of Soul Eaters slowed down. Sounded slowly. Yes. Xiao Yan heard the words and nodded lightly, obviously because of the importance of this incident. Only by winning the Eastern Continent competition can you have the opportunity to enter the Four Continents competition, and if you get the top 3 in the Four Continents competition in Yin Hushan, you will be able to truly step into the Li Hun territory. It's the matter of his own lovesickness and broken enteritis, that is enough to be sure. My friend is a businessman, and the destination is naturally the core area of Dongzhou. This trip passed through our Ghost King city. He took out this item and gave it to me for auction. But as a price, they need an alchemist to accompany them. On the way together, the pharmacist will be protected. The pharmacist only needs to break the soul attack for them at certain times. Dead Wind's voice slowly fell. Also, the dragon blood crystals here are auctioned in gold coins, but they can only be auctioned off by alchemists. So, all the respected pharmacists present, you can start. Dead Wind smiled slowly, and immediately stepped back, leaving the auction table to Li Qin. Foreshadowing, the ghost world will not be written too long like Zhan Tianshan. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1158. What? And as the sound of the wind of death fell, the people in the entire auction hall became restless. The rarity of alchemists in the ghost world is even rarer than in the human world. This is why there is no pharmacist union in such a huge city of the Ghost King. Because in this Ghost King city, even if there are hundreds of thousands of people, the number of refining pharmacists is probably only the number of one hand, and the number of hands is very few who have settled in the Ghost King city for a long time. Pharmacists in the ghost world are almost like treasures in the palm of their hands. Lord of the Dead City, only the alchemist can auction this thing. Wouldn't that be too harsh? The next moment, in the private room of the Lei family's number 4, Lei family's patriarch Lei Li couldn't help but take the lead. There's no way. The thunder attribute exercises that the Lei family practiced are somewhat similar to bodybuilding techniques. If they can get the blood of this dragon, I'm afraid it will be enough to increase the strength of their entire family. By then, they will be in the Ghost King city. Status will skyrocket. Yes, Lord of the Dead City, you are a little bit like this. Yes, everyone is a friend of Ghost King city. Naturally, good things should be auctioned together, and the one with the highest price will win. Obviously, there were not a few people who had the same idea as Lei Li, and they all spoke up. Everyone, this friend of mine is strong and powerful, and what he said, even I would not dare to violate it. Dead Wind naturally didn't want to pay attention to these people and said, "This guy." Seeing that Death Feng refused directly, a trace of ugliness appeared in the faces of some figures. However, I was secretly surprised in my heart. I am afraid that the guy who can make the dead be so polite may not be too weak. Everyone present, please show your alchemist rank medal, and then you can increase the price. The reserve price is still 10 million gold coins. Dead Wind glanced and said immediately, quote. As the sound of the wind of death fell, the entire auction venue was deadly quiet. Although there were hundreds of people here, if there was no alchemist among these hundreds, then there might be something wrong. Yes, can I try it? The next moment, in the private room number 11, a woman with a pretty face slowly raised a medal with a strange pattern in her hand and said slowly. On the patterned medal, a huge emperor character slowly appeared, and beside it, there was a star, and outside the star, there was a golden pattern. Emperor, of course, is the emperor rank. If the character that appears is immortal, then it is the immortal rank. A star represents the first rank of the emperor. A line of gold represents the first level. The information on this medal is that of a first-grade Zon level alchemist. Emperor rank first rank Zon rank alchemist? When Death Feng saw this scene, he couldn't help frowning. The seller of this dragon blood crystal is a friend of his own. They encountered some intractable things during their trip to Yinhun Tiandong continent, so they turned back halfway and were about to put this thing up for auction in order to find an alchemist. Paired together, so as to crack that intractable thing. But this pharmacist, let alone the alchemist level, should be above the second rank of the emperor, and the first rank of the emperor is obviously not up to the standard. Respected first-grade emperor-level pharmacist, you are just getting started, and the alchemist we need must be at or above the second-grade emperor rank. Dead Wind said apologetically, the woman in the private room number 11 is certainly an alchemist who has just started, but even if she is as powerful as Death Wind, she is courteous 3 points. From this, it can be seen how popular a pharmacist is in the ghost world. As this scene fell, the entire auction venue fell into silence. City Lord, if none of these people are pharmacists, I'm afraid. Li Qin's beautiful eyes looked around slightly, but she didn't see any strong people who wanted to sell. Obviously, they were not alchemists. Since none of you are alchemists, then this dragon blood crystal belongs to this old master. 11 million. And when the whole auction was quiet, the mysterious black robe in the private room number 1 couldn't help but let out a rather strange laugh. At the next moment, Xiao Yan twisted his fingers slightly, as if he remembered that since he came to the Dongzhou continent, he had just obtained an emperor rank first rank alchemist's pinnacle medal, and he has not since then. He has been appraised as a pharmacist, although Xiao Yan's current alchemy skills are definitely more than that. This guy, seeing the mysterious man in private room number 1 directly measuring out his medal of alchemist, Dead Wind couldn't help frowning. In this private room, there is a mysterious person. Even the Dead Wind does not know the details, but on the eve of the auction, he appeared with a token, so he was treated with respect by the Dead Wind. After all, the token is only the powerful strength in Yunhushan has just been possessed, but this guy lives in a secluded place, and his breath makes the Death Wind quite uncomfortable, so his attitude towards him is also quite slow. This guy actually doesn't have any soul power that belongs to the alchemist. Could this medal be fake? Forget it, let's settle the business first. Xiao Yan couldn't help but said, obviously with his keen soul power, he discovered some secrets about the mysterious man in the private room. I don't know. This token of mine might be able to bid? The next moment, Xiao Yan's voice slowly sounded, and then there was only an emperor rank first rank heaven rank alchemist medal in his hand, which was undoubtedly displayed. A 5-pointed star and 3 golden lines tightly surround the emperor character in the middle. Emperor rank first rank heaven rank pharmacist? Although your excellency is quite powerful, I'm sorry. When he saw Xiao Yan just now, Dead Wind still shook his head and said, I delayed my practice for too long and didn't take the exam. But these are feasible. The next moment, Xiao Yan's lazy sheep's appearance immediately became heavy, and then within his body, waves of invisible soul fluctuations slowly disappeared in all directions. Soul power? The pharmacist woman who had just revealed her identity couldn't help but exclaimed when she felt the mutation. This is, just the tyranny of this soul power is enough to be called a third-rank emperor. Sir, if you are interested in this thing, please bid. The next moment, the dead beast smiled slightly, but his voice was filled with a shocking feeling. With his strength, he could naturally see Xiao Yan releasing his soul at a glance. Purpose of power. I'll pay 20 million. Seeing that it was easy to settle, Xiao Yan said without hesitation. Boy, are you courting death? When the mysterious black robe in the private room number 1 heard this, he couldn't help but sound a warning. Obviously, this dragon blood crystal is the exclusive auction of 2 Emperor-rank 3rd-grade pharmacists. Haha. Sir, this is my Ghost King city, and I hope to respect our rules here. And feeling the tyrannical oppression from the private room number 1, Dead Wind stepped forward directly, stepped on it suddenly, and instantly dissipated its fluctuations. What a terrifying strength. But this short-lived scene attracted the powerhouses in the private rooms to say it. I'll pay 30 million. The mysterious black-robed man cast a vicious glance at Xiao Yan, and then opened his mouth. 40 million, Xiao Yan said calmly. 50 million, said the man in black robe, his voice full of anger. 80 million. A playful smile appeared at the corner of Xiao Yan's mouth. It was obviously unwise to compete with him, a dignified alchemist who was at the peak of the 3rd rank. Moreover, the other party was only an alchemist with the medal of alchemist, but he didn't. Any hypocrite of soul power. Boy, you're ruthless. And the man in black robe also ruthlessly threw a ruthless remark, and immediately stopped raising the price. Dong, dong, dong. The silver hammer tapped lightly on the auction table, and immediately the dragon blood crystal was bought by Xiao Yan at a high price of 80 million. This guy is a ruthless man. At this time, the 3 Seimei, who were in private room number 3, couldn't help but express a trace of envy. He, everyone, let it go. Xiao Yan smiled slightly, and then sat down at due. Since the auction was successful, the dragon blood crystals here would naturally enter Xiao Yan's pocket. Xiao Yan believed that these guys might be tyrannical in strength. But it is far from reaching the point of clear competition with himself. Continuing from the previous episode 1159, this dragon blood crystal was taken in private room number 3. After the auction is over, the item will be delivered to you intact. As for the task of the companion, I will send someone to inform you in a few days. Death Feng said to Xiao Yan politely. It doesn't matter. It just so happens that I'm going to stay in Ghost King City for some time, and this trip to Dongzhou is also on the way, so it's great to wait. Xiao Yan said with a smile. That's good. After comforting Xiao Yan, Death Feng suddenly spoke up. After all, the alchemist was a hornet's nest that couldn't be provoked. Everyone, since this dragon blood crystal has been photographed by Your Excellency Alchemist in private room number 3, then we won't be rambling. Xie knows that everyone is here today for the things that are in the bottom of the box, so the auction is the highlight of this auction. Zaifeng directly sent someone to collect the ground dragon blood crystal, and then stood up on the auction table. He stood side by side with Li Qin and smiled. The main event is finally here. The mysterious black-robed man in the private room number 1 heard the words, and his anger at the lack of the ground dragon blood crystal instantly dissipated. Obviously, the dragon blood crystal is nothing compared to the stuff at the bottom of the box. What the asterisk is this finale scene? Seeing Xiao Yan filming the ground dragon blood crystal, Qinger was quite surprised. Although she guessed that Xiao Yan was most likely an alchemist, this guy was actually a genuine 3rd-rank emperor. An alchemist at the 3rd rank of emperor rank. I am afraid that his identity is enough to be on an equal footing with the heads of their families, not to mention that this guy is also a strong fighting immortal. Is it finally going to start? As the voice of the Dead Wind fell, the anger in the auction venue suddenly rose to the extreme. Many people here are targeting this last auction item. Come here, bring that thing up to me. The next moment, a secret passage emerged directly from the auction table, and then a soldier came out. The soldier was quite ordinary, but his strength was extremely tyrannical. It's just that the soldier just appeared, which made the people present sigh for a while. Obviously, this soldier is no stranger to them. I didn't expect this thing to be taken care of by Bai He, a late-stage 2-star Do Xian. It seems that the Dead Wind is also careful and vigilant. When many strong people saw the 2 men and 1 woman on the auction stage at this time, they couldn't help but muttered. The 2 men are the city lord Xu Feng and the soldier Bai He. It can be said without hesitation that these 2 are the strongest among the strengths of the city lord's mansion. With the cooperation, even if it is half-step 3-star Do Xian early stage, it can only temporarily withdraw. Susu, it's so cold. What is that? After Bai Hei's figure appeared, his hands were carefully carrying something. The outermost layer of the thing was entangled by an extremely terrifying black qi. The black qi cut off all the power of the soul probe, but even so, it made everyone feel a penetrating cold. With the appearance of this black box-like thing, the temperature in the entire auction floor dropped a lot unconsciously, and even a trace of it could be seen. Silk ice silk filled the air. Hee, everyone, this is the highlight of the day. After the city lord nodded, he slowly walked to the auction table and placed the thing wrapped in black energy on the raised auction table. What exactly is this? Xiao Yan couldn't help but say, but at the same time, in the sea of vindictive energy in Xiao Yan's body, a mysterious piece of paper glowing with dark red light suddenly burst out with a rather greedy gaze, as if wanting to swallow the mysterious items on the auction table. Calm me down. Seeing this, Xiao Yan hummed suddenly, and immediately mobilized the huge soul power in his body, finally suppressing the riot of the mysterious piece of paper. In the mysterious piece of paper, there is an immortal sparrow that is sealed. However, Xiao Yan was also a little puzzled. Although the undead might sparrow was related to undying fire, it was clearly sealed. The sealed undying might sparrow was the same as falling into a deep sleep, but how could there be such a violent fluctuation? Xiao Yan couldn't understand. Kaifeng. The next moment, Dead Wind glanced at the auction venue, which had become restless because of the appearance of the main event, and said directly, but his eyes were always staring at some strong players in the venue. Okay, everyone be quiet. When I unlock the seal, you will know the true face of this important event. He nodded heavily, and then without hesitation, the dazzling power of fighting immortals burst out, and the handprints turned rapidly, carrying a circle around them. The power of mysterious fluctuations, facing the black box. Boom, boom, boom. The black box seemed to be threatened by He's such a blow, and bursts of dazzling black energy continued to overflow, attacking He. Untie it for me. He endured the erosion of the black chi, while constantly waving his handprints, trying to eliminate the black chi above the black box, thus showing his true colors. Bang, bang, bang. The next moment, he suddenly drank, and immediately shook all the black energy above the black box, thus revealing its true colors. This is a flame? Some figures couldn't help but say when they saw the black air on the black box dissipate. It's not like a flame. Don't you have it? With the black box showing its true colors, the temperature in the entire auction platform has risen a lot in an instant. What is that? Both ice and fire? Intermittent noises of silhouettes rang out. How can it be? This is the fluctuation of holy flame? What the master said is actually true. It seems that this time it really didn't come in vain. Susu. The mysterious man in private room number 1 was staring at the items standing on the auction table, and a surprise appeared in his heart. What appeared in front of everyone was a square cage about 10 feet in size, and in the cage, countless ice threads emerged, but it was strange that in the center of the ice and snow cage, there was a strip-shaped item like a leaf. On top of that strip-shaped item, a dark red flame is like a flame elf, beating slowly. And with the beating of the flame blades, the hundreds of powerhouses present held their breath and couldn't help exclaiming. Every beat of the flames emits a trace of terrifying ripples that can destroy everything, but the ice threads on the ice cage slowly dissolve, which is quite strange. This is holy flame? The smell of immortal fire? The next moment, when Xiao Yan's pupils saw the dark red fire leaves in the ice cage, a shock and surprise flooded into his heart.